By the time the snow melted, Red River Junction barely recognized the man walking its streets. Not because Elias Boone had changed his clothes or found his voice, but because the town had finally learned how to see him. Morning light followed him now. Doors opened when he passed. Someone always nodded. Sometimes they even said his name, careful at first, as if testing whether it belonged to him. Elias answered with a quiet lift of his chin, still unsure how a man who once vanished so easily could suddenly be remembered. Mercy walked beside him, her hooves tapping a steady rhythm on thawing ground. Children trailed behind her at a distance, then closer each day. They reached for her mane with small, hesitant hands. She lowered her head for them, patient, gentle. Fear turned into laughter. Elias watched it happen like a miracle unfolding in slow motion. Healing came quietly. Mercy's strength returned in inches and breaths. Elias fixed broken fences, mended warped gates, earned warm meals with blistered hands instead of pity. At night, the screams that once lived in his sleep softened. Some nights, they didn't come at all. Purpose has a way of standing guard at the door of a wounded mind. When the offer arrived, from a sanctuary north of the valley, Elias held it like it might burn him. A place to stay. Work that mattered. People who expected him to remain. Old fears rose fast and sharp. Belonging had once been taken from him. Losing it again felt unbearable. He stood in the stable long after sunset, doubt pressing heavy on his chest. Mercy stepped close, her warm breath steady against his shoulder. She didn't rush him. She never did. She just stood there, alive, breathing, trusting. Something inside Elias loosened. He nodded once, as if answering a question only they could hear. The day he left, the town gathered without being asked. Hats were tipped. Hands were shaken. No speeches followed him, just quiet respect. Years later, a small plaque appeared beneath a cottonwood tree, its words worn smooth by time and touch. Elias Boone, a man who chose mercy and found his way home. The storm didn't leave quietly. It withdrew like a truth exposed, leaving broken fences, deep snow, and a town forced to look at what it had allowed. Red River Junction woke under pale winter light, uneasy, aware that something had shifted beneath its feet. Hasker's fall spread fast. His name was spoken in low voices, then not at all. Doors that had once stayed shut began to open. One by one, abused animals were led into the sheriff's yard at dawn, tied with shaking hands, surrendered without explanation. Sheriff Ruth Alder worked through frozen mornings and sleepless nights, her breath sharp in the cold as new rules were written, old excuses stripped away. Mercy had survived. That meant no one could look away anymore. Elias Boone stood before the town when it mattered. Not loud, not angry, just steady. His voice carried the weight of battlefields and long nights survived alone. He spoke of the storm, of a horse tied and left to die, of choosing not to walk past. The room stayed silent. People finally saw the soldier beneath the drifter's coat, a man who knew what it cost to abandon the helpless. Mercy healed where everyone could see her. Children brushed her coat in the open yard. Neighbors brought apples, blankets, grain. Her story crossed fences and county lines, carried by whispers and newspaper ink. Letters arrived, then money, then volunteers. Hope, it turned out, traveled fast when given a reason. Spring came differently that year. A partnership formed with a northern sanctuary. Fences were rebuilt stronger. Laws were enforced harder. When the offer was made to Elias, it wasn't charity. It was trust, leadership, a place earned through action, not pity. On the first warm morning, the town gathered without being asked. Elias stood beside Mercy, sunlight catching dust in the air. Red River Junction was no longer known for storms that broke men and animals. It was remembered for the night someone chose to stand still in the wind and changed everything. They say the storm was alive that night, prowling the plains with teeth made of wind and ice. They say no man could have walked into it and come back the same. Some even swear the storm blinked first. The stories grew with every telling. One version claimed Elias Boone fought the wind like an enemy, leaning into it until it broke around him. Another said the horse found him instead, that Mercy's cry cut through the white and pulled him forward when his own will was already fading. No two accounts ever matched, but they all agreed on one thing. A man went into the storm, and something came back that the storm could not claim. Elias never corrected anyone. He stayed quiet, eyes distant, hands busy with work. The past still lived behind his gaze, the weight of battles no one asked him about. Mercy followed him like a shadow, steady and watchful, as if she remembered a debt the world did not. Then, one spring morning, they were gone. No farewell, no packed wagon, just empty stall boards and tracks pressed into damp earth, pointing north. The town searched until the trail thinned into nothing. Some said Elias had finally found peace and kept walking until the land ran out. Others believed the storm had called him back. Years passed, winters stacked upon winters. Then one day, beneath an old cottonwood bent by time and weather, a small plaque appeared. No signature, no explanation, only words worn smooth by hands and snow. Mercy saved in a storm, saved a man in return. Old-timers say the legend didn't end there. On nights when the wind screams just right and snow moves sideways, they swear they've seen them at the edge of town. A man walking forward, shoulders bent but unbroken. A horse beside him, head low, unafraid. Always moving, never stopping. Not running from the storm, but passing through it. Some heroes don't stay to be thanked. They just leave the world a little warmer than they found it.